join parallelly. So in yesterday's session, we were talking about the concept of geographies in the system. And as part of geographies, I have explained you what is a geography in the Fusion application and why they are required to create in the system. When we go for an implementation, why we have to configure the geographies in the system, I told you team. Like in the concept of locations, where we capturing the address details of our client organization, or when we hiring the employees in the system, when we capturing the address details of the employees, right team? In all these places, the country respective information is required. The state, country, districts, or within that postal, villages, zip code, right team? All that information is required in the system. So I told you yesterday how we can configure the geographies for different countries in the system. If it is United States, Canada, and Mexico, what is the different approach that we have to follow in order to create the geographies in the system? Right team? Now today let me start with the very next topic in the core HR module, that is establish enterprise structure in the system. What is this established enterprise structure team? What we are going to do or configure in this respective task or the configuration team? Basically, this is a one-stop solution. This is a one-stop solution, or this is a super task which is available in the core HR module in order to define the entire organization structure of our client at one shot. Means what team? Means what team? From enterprise till business units team. From enterprise till business units team. We can configure all our client organizations like the enterprise, the divisions, under each division, what are the legal entities in whatever the countries, and under each legal entity, whatever the business units we have, starting from enterprise to till business units. The entire organization structure of our client, we can configure in a one single task called establish enterprise structure team. We have divisions also under business units, but departments also under business units team. But departments we cannot define in this enterprise structure task team. In the established enterprise structure, as the name itself telling, see, establish enterprise structure. In order to establish the enterprise structure in the Fusion application, we can use this respective task team. Entire organization structure till business units team. Enterprise, divisions, legal entity, business units, all our clients, organizations, till business units, we can define in the system in this one single task called establish enterprise structure. Not only the org or the enterprise structure team, within the Fusion application, there is a concept called team reference data set. We are going to talk that probably from tomorrow. There is something called reference data set. Even that concept also you can define in the enterprise structure task. So multiple configurations you can define in a one single task. You can call it as a super task, which is available in the core HR module. So the entire organization structure, starting from enterprise to till business units and reference data sets, we can configure in a one single task called establish enterprise structure. How to create it? Why we have to create this task? Because again, I have individual tasks available team. See, basically, in order to define the enterprise in the system, okay, have a task available. See, manage enterprise HCM information. In order to define that task, this is the task available team, manage enterprise. If I have to define the divisions, I have the task available, see, manage divisions. If I want to define legal entity, I have manage legal entity. If I have to define business unit, I have manage business unit task. If I have to define reference data set, I have managed reference data set. I have individual setup tasks available to define them. But even then, at the top, there is something called establish enterprise structure. We can define all our clients' organizations in this respective task. First, I will show you how to create in this respective task. After that, I will let you know why Oracle given this functionality, and if not, how we can define individually. That we will see, team. Now let me go to the system and let me search with a task called establish enterprise structure, team. Let me go to the application. Okay, let me go to the application and then let me go to where we have to go, team, every day. Setup and maintenance, right? From our settings and action, setup and maintenance. Because every task in the system, we can find out from the setup and maintenance area. So let me keep the offering workforce deployment, right? Because my core HR module is part of that offering team. And here I will search with a task called establish enterprise structure. Let me search with that task. See, establish enterprise structure. So here I can see, team, the task, establish enterprise structure. So go to this task and then, team, you will land upon this particular page, enterprise configuration. So when you are working in the client's application, team, for the first time, when you go into this task, this will be the view. Nothing will be there because application will come with a blank data. Okay. We have to define everything of the client's information in the system, team. So once you come to establish enterprise structure task, you will land upon this particular page, team. Here you have to define your structure. See, plus icon, create. Then, team, create your enterprise structure now. What is your enterprise, team? Tata Group. So I will go with the name with that one. Tata Group Enterprise or organization structure. Tata Group organization structure. The name I'm giving in this way, team, by using our enterprise name. Tata Group enterprise structure. Description also you can use same. Now, team, the moment I click on OK, I will land upon the task and I can see different tabs coming across. See now, the moment I click on OK, I landed upon where? Establish enterprise structures. This is what the task which we were into. See, establish enterprise structure. You will land up on this task. And here, team, you can see different tabs, 7 tabs you can see. Divisions, legal entity. Basically, current screen that we are in will be enterprise, team. Because first we have to define the enterprise as part of the hierarchy, if you see. So here you are on the enterprise page where you can define your client's enterprise team. Next, after enterprise, what we have? Divisions. Then you will land up on this page. Once you define that and click on next, then you will land up on legal entities. After division, legal entities. Then after that, you will land up on business units related thing. Then the reference data sets team. So this is the establish enterprise structure task. Starting with enterprise till business units in the organization and also the concept of reference data sets. These all things, one after the other, you can define in this one single task. Now let us see, team, how to configure in the system. Okay. Now I landed upon establish enterprise structure task, and the very first screen that you will be on enterprise screen, team. Here you are going to define your client's enterprise in the system. What is our client enterprise, team? Tata Group. Now ignore that one, whatever that you are saying, because someone manually overwritten in the backend. Ignore that. Enterprise. So here, team, you are going to provide your enterprise details. What is your client's enterprise in the system? My client enterprise is Tata Group. Any short name that you want to provide, you can give, team. Okay. Anything like any short code or short name for that enterprise, if you want, you can give, team. Then primary industry. What is this? Whenever we configuring our client's enterprise structure in the system, team, at the enterprise level, when you're defining the enterprise, System will ask to capture the primary industry in which our client operating. Is it automobile industry, IT industry, or pharma industry, or manufacturing industry, or life sciences? What? In which industry basically that your client is into? Whatever the companies that your client have, in what is the primary industry? They might be into diversified industries team. Let's say Tata Group is there. Tata is into automobile, Tata is into finance, they're into manufacturing, they're into FMCG, they're into steels and iron ore. They're into different industries. But among all of them, there will be one primary presence of your client, where the higher companies or the bigger companies that they're operating in a large scale. That information you can capture. It's just for information only, nothing else. So primary industry you can provide team. So let's say my primary industry is into manufacturing, my client says. Let me use that one. Then headquartered country. So where your client's enterprise headquartered located. Basically our Tata Group is located in India, right? So headquartered country, I'm selecting India. Let me search here, India, right? So these basic information about the enterprise we have to capture team. Enterprise name, primary industry, headquarter. Now you might get a question. Kumar, how you know that this is the enterprise of your client? Then your client's primary industry is manufacturing and they are headquartered in India. How you know that? How you are defining that? As I told you, in the initial time of implementation project team, the very first phase will be requirement gathering phase, right? We will collect all the information about the client's organization team, and client will provide what is their enterprise, what are their divisions, what are their legal entities, their locations, whatnot. Every bits and pieces of information, whatever is required to configure them in the system, we will collect from the client as part of the requirement gathering team. So I'm ready with all that data, then only I can configure them in the system, right? Now enterprise I define team. Under my enterprise, when we configuring team, when we configuring your organization structure with this respective task of establish enterprise structure team, whenever you defining the enterprise in the system only, there is something here called team legal information. Application will ask to capture one of the legal entities of your client here team. Okay, these are the legal entities. These many legal entities I have 11 or 12 companies operating in different countries. But team, whenever you creating the enterprise, one legal entity information we have to capture here. Probably you can consider that as a top company in all your clients' legal entities. Basically, you can call it as a primary ultimate holding company or whatever it is team. Because any business you take in the market, any company you take in the market, there will be one ultimate holding company for all your client companies team. Probably that is the initial company we started way back 30 years or 40 years back when they started their business. The first company which they came up into the market, or the high revenue generated company, or the biggest company in all your client companies team. There will be one such company in every client's organization. Okay, what is that? It might be the highest gross revenue generated company, high profitable company, the biggest company you can consider team. Under that only all other are sister companies. There will be one such company in every organization team. That we can call it as ultimate holding company for all other companies team. All other are the sister companies to that one. Identify that, discuss with the client. What is that such company in all the legal entities that your client having in the market? Let's suppose team, in our case, Tata Automobiles Private Limited. Okay, let's assume as part of our training purpose team. So Tata Automobiles, let's say the first company that which client started way back, and that is the biggest company in your client's organization. Rest of all are the sister companies to this one. This is the ultimate holding company or the biggest company in all other comparison with legal entities team. So that legal entity along with the enterprise, you have to configure here team. On the enterprise screen, it will ask, after providing the enterprise information, legal information, nothing but legal entity name. Legal name means we have to capture team. Rest of all the legal entities, whatever we have, TCS, Tata Communication, all these things, we have a tab here, team. When we reach out to the second tab, we can configure rest of them. But among all of them, one such primary company, the big company under your client's organization, you have to create along with the enterprise in the system team. So enterprise, I define Tata Group. Under that, the main legal entity I'm configuring team. Legal name, nothing but legal entity name. Tata Automobiles Private Limited in our example team. Okay. Then what are these details team? Legal entity identifier, legal entity registration number, legal reporting unit registration number or legal address. Whenever we configuring the legal entities in the system, certain legal information we have to capture about that legal entity team. As I told you, whenever any company registered with the government, certain legal implications will be coming into the picture. Company will allocate with registration number. Company will allocate with tax identification number, GST, PAN, right? Or PF, income tax. All these are the legal sets of implications coming to the company when they are registering in the government team. So all that information we have to capture here. Tata Automobiles Private Limited, you are configuring in the system. Legal entity identifier team, any company in the market when they're registering with the bank accounts, with the banks to perform the financial transactions team, they will be allocated with something called legal entity identifier, a unique ID for the transactional purposes across the banks with respective to the financial aspects team. So you can get these details from your client. What is the legal entity identifier number? Every company will allocate with certain ID team when they are registering in the banks for their financial purposes. So you can collect these information from the client. As of now, I'm giving some raw data, some test data. But when you are working in the client's application, when you are configuring the client's data, all these information we have to take from the client and we have to define. And then team, legal entity registration number. So every company when they registered, ROC number will be allocated team. Registrar of companies number. In any country that is common, registration number will be there for every company. So that registration number of the company you have to capture team. Then legal reporting unit registration number. This is the tax registration number of the company. So every company will get allocated with a TIN number, tax identification number. So that ID you have to capture here team. And then legal address. What is this legal address team? Whenever we configuring the legal entity in the system, we have to capture the legal address of that legal entity. Means what team? Legal address means the address where the company legally registered with is called as legal address team. What is legal address? The address where the company legally registered with, okay, is called as legal address team. So whenever a company is registering in the country, they will be registering with particular address, right? Where they are located, the office where they are located, right? That address of that particular legal entity we have to capture it in, where it is located, the address. So here if you click on the drop down, then and there itself you can create. See, create button is there. Click on create. Then I'm defining the legal address, nothing but see the location team. Here also our geographies are required. Prior to this already the geographies are defined. So now when I'm creating the address of my legal entity, the location, nothing but I could able to search my details here, the country respective information. Okay. So Tata Automobiles Private Limited, the address name also I'm giving in this way. Then I'm giving something like road number 36. Okay. Okay. Main avenue. Then Street 23. Some data I'm giving as of now. But in real time, please follow the exact details of your organization team. So let's say Maharashtra. See the geographies. Then let's say some pin code details I will capture team. Then the city, Mumbai. Okay, coming from pin code. So you have to create the address here team. Whatever is the registered address of your client's organization. So as of now, I'm giving some test information here. Click on OK. Now the address details captured team. Now what you configured so far? Team? You defined enterprise in the system, Tata Group. Under the enterprise, one legal entity among all the legal entities that your client having, one primary legal entity, okay, which is the biggest company or the oldest company or the high revenue generated, which you identified as the ultimate holding company, and all other are sister companies to that. That company we have defined along with our enterprise team. So on the enterprise page, the very preliminary page, enterprise, under that one legal entity you define. Now scroll down team. Before going to the next tab, divisions, you have to answer something here team. Enterprise configuration requirement. Okay. And what it is asking team, you have provided enough information to configure a simple enterprise with a single legal entity operating in a single country. See, single enterprise with single legal entity operating in a single country. Select an option below. What is that team? Two options I am getting here. Continue with the interview to set up more legal entities, or complete the setup for a single legal entity in a single country. When you go for a project team, okay, you got a project from some X company, okay, or let's say any company you take, some X company is there, you got the project team. That client is not having multiple legal entities. See, every client that you are working, they might not be that big. They might not have multiple companies. He might have only one company team, and he want to implement Oracle system for that. Okay, then how team? Only one company if your client is having. Multiple legal entities is not there to your client. You define the enterprise and only one legal entity that your client is having, some X corporation private limited. That's all. Then team, I define the enterprise and that X corporation private limited I will define here. Then that's all, right? I can choose this option. Complete the setup for a single legal entity in a single country. If I select this one team, when I click on next, when I go to the second tab of legal entities, system will not allow me to create any more legal entities. You are telling the system that complete this setup with one legal entity in a one country. That is what we define. When you will go with this option team, complete the setup for a single legal entity in a single country. In the implementation time, when you are doing, if your client is having only one legal entity, if they are not having multiple legal entities team. Parvesh, can you please stop the noting? I think something is happening on the screen. Second team. Yeah, thank you. Okay. So if your client is having only one legal entity in the, only one company, if your client is having team, nothing but only one legal entity, that you define here team, and you can choose this option. Complete setup for a single legal entity in a single country. But in my case, my client have multiple legal entities to configure. Among them, only one I configuring here team. In that case, you have to choose this option. Continue with the interview to set up more legal entities. Means what? If I select this option team, when I click on next and when I reach out to this tab of legal entities team, system will allow me to create the further legal entities. You created Tata Automobiles. What else you have? I have 10 more legal entities in different countries. TCS, Tata Steel, Tata Finance, Tata Voltas, all that rest of the legal entities I'm going to configure here team. So this is something how your client business structure is there. If it is only one company that your client is having, then choose this one as you already defined your legal entity here. But if your client have multiple legal entities across different countries, then we have to choose this one team. Continue with the interview to set up more legal entities. Now, what you defined so far, enterprise you defined, and one legal entity you define. Now, team, if you click on next button, you will land upon the divisions page. Under enterprise, what we have in the system? We have divisions. Click on next team. Now see, you will land upon this tab. It got highlighted, see, tab 1, divisions. And you are on the divisions page. Now here, team, whatever the divisions that your client having in the system, all the divisions we have to configure. Click on plus icon. Okay. Click on plus icon and then team configure the division. What is the division team? Tata Asia division. Let me use that one. Name, description, the same I can give. And then you have to capture the country and the location information here. So Tata Asia division, where it is located? It is located in India. Okay, then location thing. Location is nothing but address, where that division is located, the office address of that division. So you can, why when I click on the drop down, something called Tata Automobiles Private Limited coming team. Prior to this divisions tab, when we are on the very first initial screen, enterprise screen, we defined our legal entity, that is Tata Automobiles Private Limited. And for that, I have defined the address, location, right? That is also in India. So when I choose the country India, in this respective structure, whatever the locations defined, that you can see team. This is the address of Tata Automobiles team. So you can create the address for Tata Asia division here. Okay. So you can capture team all the information. As of now, I'm going with some test, something like this. Okay. And some address details I'm capturing from here. Rest of the details, when you are working in the real time, please capture the appropriate information of your client exactly team. Click on OK. Now, Tata Asia division I defined. Next, I have one more division to add. Then click on this plus icon team, add row. Then what else I have team? Tata US division I have. Then Tata US division. Like all the divisions team and the country in which they are located, you have to capture. Then the location in United States team. Why here it is not coming the Tata Automobiles? Because it is in US. But Tata Automobiles you define in India, that is coming up here team. Click on the drop down, then create for Tata US team. Okay. Then all the information you can give accordingly. But now just to save our time quickly, I'm going with some blank information team. Then click on plus icon, one more division, that is Europe division team. Then Tata Europe division. This is in, let's say, UK, United Kingdom. Okay. Then the location where it is located. Click on create. Tata Europe division. Then something I will give. The mandatory fields I'm giving team. Then some city information you can give. Click on OK. This is Europe division's location team. Then plus icon. What we have after that? Tata Middle East division. Middle East. Country, let's say it is in UAE, United Arab Emirates. Then the location of that one team, where it is located. You can click on create. Okay. And you can see that Emirate details here. Country to country, this structure will be default team. Please ignore that type of errors. In the demo instances, you might find that there. Click on OK. Right. Right. Now see team, I defined my enterprise first of all, and under my enterprise, one legal entity I defined. And after that team, all my divisions I'm defining. Asia, US, Europe, Middle East, Okay, if I have furthermore Australia or furthermore have the plus icon team, I can create more divisions also here. So after divisions team, what we have in the system after divisions? We have legal entities team. Under each division, we have to define the legal entities in the system. Now, after the divisions, the next tab will be legal entities team. Now, let me click on next. I will land upon this legal entities tab. Now I'm on the second tab, that is legal entities. Now see team, when I came to this respective tab, by default, I can see that Tata Automobiles Private Limited, and it's coming with a flag called Ultimate Holding Company. As I told you, among all the legal entities that your client having, what is the top notch? What is the main legal entity or the ultimate legal entity that you are defining on the first page? So whatever you defined on the enterprise screen, that you can see here team. Now on top of this, what are the other legal entities that your client have? That all you have to define here team. So I have a plus icon here to define. There is something called generate automatically. What is that team? Prior to legal entities, I defined 4 divisions team. If I click on generate automatically, all that divisions, whatever I created, will also create as legal entities. Same naming convention if you want to follow. Then use that one team. But I don't want that. I have my legal entities of their individual names under each of the country. So I will define all of them here team. Now, one more thing I want to tell you, when I'm trying to create the legal entity here, system will ask me to map the division under which division that legal entity you are creating. But the primary one which we defined team, we cannot map it to any division. That will be at the global level team. Rest of all you can tag. Now select that country information team where it is located. Next, what we are going to configure team, TCS India Private Limited. Okay, TCS India Private Limited. It is under which division team? All our divisions, what we created here, the 4 divisions that you can see here. My TCS India Private Limited is under Tata Asia. Then the legal entity identifier, legal entity registration number, legal reporting unit registration number, all these things you can provide here team. And the legal address of that one. So you can go create for every legal entity the same option team. What I will do, just to save our time, I will use existing addresses team of Tata Asia or automobiles, whatever we already created in the country India, existing in this structure, I will use them as of now. But when you practicing, you can define here team exactly whatever is the addresses. Now, as of now, I'm using the same address of Tata Automobiles for TCS. This might also happens. Both companies might be operating from a single office. That also be a situation. But just now, to save our time, for every legal entity, creating the address will take a lot of time. I will use existing addresses team already which we created. Click on plus icon. Then one more. This is also in India. Okay, what is that team? Tata Communications Private Limited in Asia division. Then legal entity identifier. Okay, registration number, tax number, then the legal address team. Then one more. This is also in the country India. Okay, so all the legal entities team, whatever that your client having, you have to configure them accordingly here. Okay. Then for this legal address, I have to capture team. Then next, move on to US. TCS USA Private Limited in the country United States. Select that country, USA. Now division under Tata US division, these are. Then the legal entity identifier, registration number, tax reporting unit registration number. Then the legal address of that I am providing team. Then this is also in United States. What is that? Tata Motors Private Limited. Let me create under that. US division. Like all the legal entities team, whatever the companies that your client have, every legal entity you have to configure in this tab, right? Then furthermore, I have one more in United States. Okay, what is that? Tata FMCG Private Limited. All your client companies you have to define in the same approach. One after the other you have to add, and you have to capture the respective information what system asking here team. Then what we have in Europe division, I have two companies. Then let me select UK, United Kingdom, country is, then Tata Steels Private Limited. Let's say this is in Europe division. Okay. Then I'm capturing the Europe division. Then one more I will define in Middle East team, and I will conclude here. Rest of them you can practice. Then let's say one more in United Arab Emirates, Voltas in Middle East division, right? So I'm capturing with some raw information here, Middle East division. Now see team, I defined my enterprise, and along with my enterprise, I defined one legal entity. And after that, I defined all my client divisions in the system. And then now I'm defining the legal entities team. All the legal entities of my client across different countries, whatever the legal entities or the companies that my client is having, all that I have to define in this way team. Now enterprise is done, divisions is done, legal entities are done. Next, what we have team under legal entities, we have something called business units in the system. Now come to the application team. Now the moment I click on next, I will land upon this third tab, that is create business unit. Now see, I will land upon which tab? Create business unit. Now here team, I have two options. Whenever I'm creating the business units in the system, automatically generate the business unit and manually generate the business units. What is this team? When I choose automatic, prior to business units, what we define team? We define legal entities. And all my legal entities I could able to see, whatever I configured in the second tab. Tata Voltas Private Limited, Tata Steels. Let's say team, when we can use automatic, I will tell you. My client is telling, Kumar, actually, we don't have any business unit concept in our organization. We have the companies. Under that, our next level bifurcation is departments. But now you people are telling in Oracle system, business units are mandatory to create. But we don't have the business unit concept in our organization. But I told what team? BUs are at most mandatory in Fusion system. At least one business unit for the legal entity, you have to define in the system, I told you. In that case, team, you can simply select automatically generate BUs, and the business unit level scope, you set up legal entity by default. Select all the legal entities selected team. The moment you click on next button and you land upon the fourth tab, each legal entity will also be creating as business unit in the system with the same naming convention. See now, I'm using automatic option. Scope I set it as legal entity. Then all the legal entities I selected team. And then I'm clicking on next. Now see what happens in the system. I'm on the fourth tab now, business units tab. Now what happens? See, did I define manually any business unit? No. What system did? For every legal entity, the code sequencing started and the business unit name. Same name, Tata Motors Private Limited, at the end suffixing with Tata Motors Private Limited BU. Then TCS Private Limited, this is a legal entity, and this is the BU for that one. At the end, it will designate as BU, and their country, their location, everything will automatically count in. So when I go with automatic, whatever the legal entities you define with the same naming convention, just at the end suffixing with that BU characters, the legal entities will be generated as business units in the system team. Do you want to go with this kind of thing? Do you want to automatically go? When you will go with this, I am telling team, if you have a single BU concept in each of the legal entities, if your client is telling, usually we will go with that approach team. But I don't want to go that way because I have my business units under each of the legal entities independently team. Then go back, deselect all. Okay, don't go with automatic team. Come to manual. Okay, the moment when you come to manual team and when you go to the next tab, nothing will be available. It's you as an implementation consultant have to define all the business units of your client. See, now I'm going with manual option team and I click on next button. What happened? See, when I came to business unit, nothing is there. I'm on the 4th tab now. So here I have to define manually all the BUs team. So the code, anything you can go for every object in the system going forward team. When you're defining that, system will ask for the code, the unique ID which we are allocating to that. So I'm giving the code as BU1 and Tata Auto North BU. Then the country where that is located. Then the location, in which location it is. I'm using the existing one, but you have to create team. For BU also, this business unit is located in which address. You have to create the location. But as of now, I'm using the existing one. Then another BU. Click on plus icon. Like all the business units team, under all the legal entities, you have to define here. Tata South BU. Okay. Then the location. Then Tata, or next for TCS Consulting BU. BU3. Then Consulting BU. This is also in India. Okay. Then BU4. Next is I have Tata Sales and Marketing BU. Like all business units, you have 10, 20, 30 across different legal entities, whatever you have team, everything you have to define here. Then TCS AMS BU. Okay. Then the location of that BU, where it is located. Then I have Tata Motors Private Limited BU. This is in United States, let's say. In US. Then next in UK, next in Middle East. In whatever the countries, under whatever the legal entities, the business units you have team, you have to go with a manual approach. Click on plus icon, add row one by one, and all the business units of your client, you have to define in this particular tab team, right? So enterprise you define, divisions you define, legal entities of your client we have defined. Under legal entities, the business units how to define, we have seen team. So till here team, it's about organization or the enterprise structure. Starting from enterprise till business units, we have seen how to define team. In this established enterprise structure task team, along with these org structure, we can also configure last 3 tabs, 5, 6, and 7. We will also configure theme. There is a concept called reference data set, RDS. A very important star marked concept in the core HR. When you go for an implementation team, how important the question? Tell me the organization structure in the Fusion application, how important it is. We have also team, that important question is talk about reference data set. One should have a very detailed, thorough understanding about the concept of reference data set. That basically I will explain in tomorrow's session. It requires one full hour of discussion to understand what is RDS, what it is doing in the system, why it is mandatory, and that is important in the system team. So now what I will do is I will not touch any of these things. I will complete the setup team because we have not completed the topic. Tomorrow, once we complete RDS concept and assigning them to the business unit and location reference data set, you can correlate the things that which we are completing today. So as of now, I'm not touching these things, RDS, BU, location set. Till divisions, legal entity, business units only, I define team. Because even if you are not configuring these things in your enterprise structure task team, you have the individual task available anyhow. You can define from here also team. So I'm not completing that configuration in the enterprise structure level because that requires a thorough understanding why they are required. Just I will proceed without touching them team. Whatever Oracle delivers standard ones are there, I'm going ahead with that. Then in the business units team, for all BUs, whatever we define, we have to map the RDS team. Okay. By default, I'm assigning the Oracle delivered common set. What is this common set? Why we have to map these reference data sets to the business unit, that we are going to see in tomorrow's session in reference data set concept team. But now, when I'm creating established enterprise structure task team, this is fine, whatever I'm doing. Assign the common set to all your BUs team. Then click on next. And even for your locations also, whatever the locations that you configured for these things, that all you can see here team. RDS you have to map for them also. I'm adding common set as of now. So what I am doing, that justification you will understand tomorrow. What is this RDS? Why I have assigned common set to them team, right? In the established enterprise structure task team, starting from enterprise to till business units, the entire organization structure or the entire organizations of our client in the Fusion application, we can define it one short team. Along with that, even the RDS setup also we can define from this. Now team, once we define all these things and once you click on next button, you will land upon review page. You can land upon a review page. Now this is what team? Review results. Before submitting it team, as an implementation consultant, if you want to check what is the configuration that you have did, everything you can check here team. See the enterprise, Tata Group. Under that, all the divisions, what you define, 4 divisions. Then under that, all the legal entities, what you define. Okay. All the legal entities, what you define. You can see here team. Tata Automobiles, Private Limited, TCS, Tata Communication. Under them, what are the business units you define? Under them, what are the reference data sets that you have configured? Everything you can see here team. Now, why this particular task is important in the system is when you're going for an implementation team, if you explain that client in the Excel in this way, it doesn't look good. And even client won't understand. This is your enterprise. These are your divisions, legal. And we can't explain this in a layman way, right? I should show them in the system. This is what your organization structure is going to be. So the established enterprise structure task will help us for that also team. For the purpose of demonstrating to the client. All the organizations you can define and you can show to the client like this. This is what your enterprise. This is what your divisions under that. And these are your legal entities under that. And these are your business units. These are your reference data sets. A kind of hierarchical representation or a view you can present to the client team. And if you go to management reporting structure here, the diagrammatic representation, you can see whatever we configured team. Okay, if you go to management reporting structure, you can see it in the pictographical, diagrammatic representation team, whatever the organizations we configured. So it will take up our ultimate holding company as a base team, Tata Automobiles Private Limited. Now under that team, it will take up what are all the divisions we configured. Tata Asia, Tata US, Europe, Middle East. Now if I expand here team, all the legal entities that I configured under that, I can see. Then for US, if I expand, then under Europe, then under Middle East, right team? And under that, whatever I have team. So even I can see here the diagrammatic pictographical representation team, the hierarchy, what is coming after what, under which division, what legal entities you have configured. Everything you can see here team. So you can present it to the client. By looking at this visual presence, client can easily understand, okay, this is what going to be configured in the system, right? And once this configuration is done team, you can click on save and close. Your structure will be created in the system. Tata Group Enterprise Structure. Creating the structure is sufficient, Kumar? No. Just creating the structure will not suffice our requirement team. Once after creating the structure, there is something here, C team, load enterprise configuration. We have to go to task, click on this arrow, and we have to load this structure into the system team. If you are not loading, just you are creating in this task level, it is of no use. Then why you are having option to create one more? Can I create multiple structures here? You can define team. Basically, this task Oracle given in order to present to the client, whatever the structure or the organizations that we're configuring team. So now we created team. Client is telling there is some changes. Kumar, this is not my legal entity. That is supposed to be a division. Now under US Private Limited, Tata TCS US Private Limited, you have missed two of the business units. You have to add more. So something like that. If client giving some suggestions team, you can go to the existing one, edit it, or else team, you can create one more structure. Multiple structures you can create team for the purpose of configuration in the system till the time client says, okay, this is what my correct structure in the organization. You can create multiple structures team. But one important thing I want to make you clear. The point what I am making here is very particular. Follow that one. What is that team? At any point of time in the Fusion application team, only one structure we can load into the system. Multiple structures we cannot load. So you create multiple structures for demonstrating to the client. Whatever the structure that client is telling, yes, this is what my organizations, this is what my enterprise, these are my divisions, these are my legal entities, these are my business units, these are my reference data sets. Whatever the structure that your client is telling, that is perfect or fine. That only you have to load team. But before that, you can create multiple structures for the purpose of demonstrating to the client and showing to the client. So whatever the structure that client is telling, okay, that one team, you have to go select that structure and click on load enterprise configuration team and click on OK like this. I don't think so in the demo instance it will allow us to load, but let's try out the luck because Oracle restricts in demo instances for loading the structure. I told you, right? For every batch that we will face this type of issue team. But in real-time environments, you won't be getting any issue. Whatever the configuration we did is absolutely 100% correct. But wantedly Oracle restricts in the demo instances team to load the structures. There is a reason for that. Why? Because team, whatever that we configured here, the enterprise, divisions, legal entity, business unit, reference data set, you have the individual tasks available to configure them team. For defining the enterprise, you have the enterprise HCM information task. For defining the RDS, you have reference data set. For locations, you have locations. Divisions, manage, you have individual tasks team. So demo instances, what happen is multiple people will be working on these environments as part of their trainings, as part of their testing team. So at the back end, at the individual task level, multiple organizations, peoples will be creating. That is the reason why Oracle will restrict this task to load any new data into the system team. But when you are working for the first time in your client's application team, it's you who are going to create all your client's organization in the system team. Create the structure like this. Once the structure is created team, don't forget to load it. Just to go to this arrow, click on go to task, a message will come. The load configuration process will create your enterprise structure. Do you want to continue? Then click on OK team. Immediately you can see the status coming as loaded. Then in the application, all the organizations what we have created will be loaded into the system team. Now you can ask me a question. Kumar, already in this task, we configuring all our details. Enterprise we defined, divisions we are configuring, legal entities we are configuring, business units we are configuring. Then why Oracle given individual tasks for them again? See team, whenever we configuring them in this task of establish enterprise structure, only basic information about that we are providing team. We are not providing all the information at each of the level. At enterprise, at locations, at divisions, legal entities, business units team. Whenever you are configuring them in the system, lot more other information you have to capture. For example, I will show you team. In order to define the enterprise in the system, the individual task available team called manage enterprise HCM information. Now see team. Now see team. If I come to this task, manage enterprise HCM information, and if I go to this team, okay, see at the enterprise level, how much of information actually I should configure in the system. Let me go to this task. This is my enterprise in this demo instance team. Someone defined as ABS enterprise. We will correct it in tomorrow session. Now see team, effective start date, name, then workday information like start time, end time, standard working hours of the employees, then enterprise information, worker number generation method, person number generation method, duplication check, employment model, currency support information, user and role provisioning, global payroll element, US balance definition, position synchronization, employment configuration. See, how much of configuration is needed at the enterprise level? Did I configure all these things when I'm defining my enterprise with this task? No. In the established enterprise structure, only basic information we are giving. Name of the enterprise, country, then the industry short name. That's all. But actually at the enterprise level, we have to capture a lot more information team. So the process is, though you define all your organizations in this particular task and you load it into the system, again team, you have to come to the individual tasks of that respective object and you have to capture all that additional information which we have to configure. In the established enterprise structure, we will capture only basic information about that organization team. Once you load them, once you come to enterprise HCM, divisions or legal entities team, the individual tasks, whatever that you loaded, that you can see here team. Now, when I came to manage enterprise, I'm seeing some other name, something called ABS enterprise. Why it is showing that? I created my structure, but I have not loaded into the system because the demo instance which we are using is not allowing me. But once the structure loaded team, the moment I come to the enterprise task, here I could see Tata Group coming up here. If I go to my manage divisions team, all my divisions, what I defined, I can see here. If I go to manage legal entity task, whatever the legal entities I created and I loaded into the system, all that I can see here. So what I'm trying to tell here is team, we have a one super task available called established enterprise structure, where you can define entire organization structure at one shot and you can load into the system. But even then, you have to go to the individual tasks of them, edit them, and you have to capture further more information. So it's all about how we are using the application in the real-time team. In some of the projects team, we directly used to skip this task and directly we used to start our configuration from here. Why? Because anyhow, we have to go to individual tasks for capturing the other information. So directly I used to start my configuration from here team, enterprise, locations, RDS, divisions, legal entities, business units like that. But the other approach is how I shown you today. First create the structure, load into the system, and then again go to the individual task, edit them and capture the further information. Whatever the way, it's up to your convenience, you can use team. So this is about the concept of established enterprise structure.
Sorry, team. Sorry, team. 1 second, 1 second. I'm joining back. Sorry for that. Yeah. Yes, yes. 1 second. The mic got disconnected. I'm joining back. 1 second, team. Sorry for that. Yes. Yes, team, that's what I'm winding up the session. At the end, like I'm telling that you can able to configure either the established enterprise structure and you can able to upload that and you can configure it accordingly, team. If not that, we can directly create our individual tasks from the system. Something like defining the enterprise, legal entity, business units, legal entity, or departments, whatever the individual task we have that we can able to define accordingly, team. So there are multiple approaches usually. Yes, Arvind, that is what the issue in EKMK instance we have that issue, or even in the demo instances also today that what we have seen the topic might not be workable. So I request everyone for this particular topic, you just follow the class session, team. How I have done that, you please check it out. At some point of time in the demo instance, it might allow you to create it. But even today also when I'm defining it, I could able to create it, but not I could able to load it into the system, team. So we have that limitation in the system. But in EKMK, definitely you don't have the option to do that. It will come with an error of too many matching records found. That's okay. Because whatever the topic that I have explained you today, it's not a kind of mandatory procedure in the real-time projects, team. Many situations that we will take it on a lighter note. The actual configurations, we will start with the individual setups only. So every one of you don't get stuck here because environment itself is not supporting for this particular functionality in our training environments, I mean to say. In demos also, you can able to practice till creation of that structure. But loading again, we have a problem in that. Please try to follow my session, the steps what I have done for this topic. Okay. And I can see a couple of questions here in the chat board. Karthik, can you send us Excel sheet? Yes, I will upload this right away now after the class. And Kumar, we are creating BUs for only some legal entities and for the legal entities which you have not created the BUs. No. For example, as I told you in the current situation in the class today, I have created for minimal BUs, but system will not stop us here because we have an individual task always, manage business unit in the system. You can go there and you can create the rest of the BUs what you want. Then I can see a question from Deepika. Can the ultimate holding company group be changed in the future after the setup is completed? See, usually Deepika, ultimate holding company, there is no such concept actually in the system. Only in this established enterprise structure only to understand or to showcase the pictographical representation to the client, we have that feature. But nowhere that relevance is there in the upcoming setups that we do. While we hiring the employees, you take whatever it might be. This is just for information purpose only we have in the system. So there is no point of changing it or keeping it also. Nowhere we will use in the upcoming topics that ultimate holding company.
So does that mean we don't set it up as a like a legal employer?
Legal employers we will create all legal
No, I mean
employers.
that ultimate holding company, we are
That
setting
is
it
by
up as
default
a,
is a legal employer.
so that is by default a legal okay,
Yes,
because in the
yeah.
structure it comes above the
It shows like exactly only for
yeah.
pictographical representation it will show like that. But all legal entities will be at one level only. They comes under divisions actually in the system.
Right. Sorry if I'm asking the same question, right? So when you're creating the enterprise, the first screen, when you're setting up the enterprise, we add a ultimate holding company as a legal entity, right? So that in the legal entity, when we proceed to the legal entity screen, it was not appearing under any division.
Division, correct.
So,
It looks
right.
open,
So
correct. Yes,
correct.
yes.
There was no division value there, right? So what does
Correct.
that mean? Can we like how do we hire employees into that? I mean, is that Can I
Basically,
skip setting it up as a legal employer so that I
no.
don't have to hire anybody into it? Sorry, go on.
You have to, because that is mandatory, or else you cannot proceed further. But the actual hierarchy in the system we will build in the trees here. Whatever the organizations we configure, we will define everything. And we have a concept here in the system called organization trees. There, the actual hierarchy we will build. So that is why I'm telling this topic Oracle given in the system just for the purpose to portray that this is what your structure is going to be. That's all. But nowhere the relevance is there in the system. We will define all the organizations in the system and then we will arrange them in the hierarchical order. What is coming after? We have a task called trees in the system. In that, we will achieve it. Under which division, what legal entity is coming under. But here, in this task, when you creating, on the very first screen itself, we have an option, if you could see. If you have only one legal entity, you proceed further. If not, create more legal entity. Only in case when client have one legal entity concept to accommodate along with the enterprise creation of legal entity, then and there itself that feature given. But nowhere any relevance by having this as the ultimate holding company, all other companies are grouped into that, nothing like that. We will achieve that in the trees concept, how to define the hierarchies in the system. Okay.
Okay.
Kumar, one question.
Why?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have a query. This is Sai Raj Kumar. So actually, while defining this established enterprise structure, you have entered Tata Group, right? After that, you
Correct.
have provided a primary industry as manufacturing, right? Normally, in real time also, if I want to go ahead with this second step, by the time I am doing this, I will not be having any data under that primary industry, right? Then how we will be able to provide the data?
What is, see, industry I have given, but what is the relevance of that industry with the creation?
Yeah,
What
why?
is the
Because
question?
that
Can you repeat?
primary industry is a drop down, right? It has manufacturing industry, textile industry,
Correct,
some other
correct,
industry. But
correct.
as per these task steps, we have only defined the geographies, that means country and the address details into the system till now by the implementation way of working. We haven't yet defined any industries into the database, I mean, data set level, right? So that means
Acha, from
nothing is
where that
uh,
drop down is coming, that is what your question is.
correct. In a real time cases, if I am going exactly with this step by
Ah.
step and step one and step two, how I am
Yeah.
able to achieve that industries?
Understood, understood. See, basically, we have that concept called lookups. In lookups, we have the provision to define that kind of drop-down values. So by default, with minimal values, Oracle will give all the attributes. But if you have to customize that, you want to add more industries into that or any attribute with drop-down, if you want to add more values, we have a concept here in place, lookups. So we have kept this. When we come to this 14th point, we will see that.
Okay. But the question is again remains same, Kumar. What I'm saying is, by the time 14th step, we'll be setting up those things if customize also it is required. But if you're going in the line by line, this in this order, we just define only geographies into the system,
Why
not
we
yet
won't take
industry.
it initially means maximum industries are available in the drop down usually.
Okay, by
So it's
default,
not
Oracle is provided in the
exactly,
system. Okay,
exactly.
got it.
So there is no point of we to customize that attribute initially. So that is why we don't cover it at the initial stage. But when I cover this, once you get hands-on understanding about lookups, you can play around with any field that you want, right?
Okay,
And
got
that's
it, right. Thank you.
yeah. Let me first answer the questions in the chat board team because I can see
Yeah,
many questions.
Kumar, one question actually. Uh, in growing business, the clients acquire some other companies also, like LTI acquires Mindtree along with their existing entities and employees.
How to
So,
create them in the system.
so what is the provision Oracle
As I
providing
already
for this
told that
case?
actually in the class today, we have individual tasks. For example, your client acquired one new company, let's assume. So you want to create it. Forget about this task. This is only one time in initial. We have
Okay.
individual task here, manage legal entity. We will come here and we will define whatever we want. See, this task, please take it light. We never use it in real time. I'm saying your team. Don't get confused here because the actual config, though you configure it and load it, again we have the individual tasks for everything to define because we are giving here only minimal information only. That doesn't sufficient. Though you create, you load, again you have to come to the individual tasks, edit them, and you have to capture more. Why should I do double work? So usually team, if you ask me personally, I have never worked for any of my client in this task. After geographies, I directly used to start from here and I used to define all my clients' organization. As such, Oracle given this concept, I have to cover as part of training, I have covered it. But in reality, when you come, this particular task, many implementations, we will ignore this because it's a double work for us only. Only with minimal information, we are creating it. Again, anyhow, we have to come to the individual tasks, edit them. So rather than doing that to avoid double work, we will directly start from this team. But we also have this topic. We should know what is that because in the interview, we don't know what question will come to you. That's why I covered that team. So let me go to the questions in the chat board team. Let me give some time for that also. Harita, shipping address category in manage location. It to come, Harita, that we will see in manage locations when we come here. I think in your batch, some people are already working in this technology, I believe, right? You're asking some upfront questions. Nice. Okay. And Sanju Paul, Kumar, before defining anything, how will LOVs? The same question that what Shubham or someone asking about the lookups. LOVs here we will handle this in the lookups concept, Sanju. And Jitendra, Bhaskar, how is useful that are an automatic option over there? See, Bhaskar, basically useful means if you have only one BU concept in every legal entity, only one BU you have. That time we will go with automatic because with the same name of the legal entity, BU will define. But if you have a different requirement for each legal entity, different business units, automatic is no more helpful to you. You have to go with manual and you can define. When in case only single BU concept you have with the same name you want that, then make use of that automatic option. And Jansi, Kumar, we have to give all divisions of enterprise as mandatory because see divisions again I'm telling it's not at all mandatory. After enterprise directly you can skip that tab and you can go to legal entity and you can create. System won't stop you. And Raj, can we update the names automatically created? Yeah, even automatically created BUs also you have the option. Clear them and give your own naming convention, Raj, up to you. Business unit while creating, you have created BU1, BU2. See, naming convention, Venkatesh, is not our choice. It's client requirement. As of now, as part of training purpose, I have gone with the codes as BU1, BU2, BU3. But in real time, what client want, what sequence they want to follow, we have to check with them and we have to configure that. And Peri Bhavanam, in case where company decides to implement phase by phase, okay, in that case, at what level location difference enterprise management, etc. See, even in phase by phase also, Perry, as I told someone asking later on if acquisition happened by a new companies or you want to add, or even phase by phase, first for the country, India, your client want to go live, then for US, then for UK. At any point of time, we can define them. We have the individual tasks. First, we'll go to legal entity, define Indian related stuff, and we will go live. Then next for US, then for UK. So accordingly, we will go ahead. And Arun Prakash, how do we collect input from client doing it? We have an Excel sheet for that, Arun, something we call it as requirement gathering template. There will be a questionnaire. In tomorrow's class, I will show you that, how that questionnaire looks like. So that we will collect the requirement from the client. And Dheeraj, if a user is created with default category, but update to some other category, changes occur immediately. Okay. You are asking about the question from last classes. If user is created with a default category, but we update it to some other category where username is emailed, changes will not automatically occur, Dheeraj. We have to manually do. Whatever the category that you created, when you create the user accounts, in that only the validation take place. If you just change the user category to the employee, the user ID format will not automatically change. You have to manually correct that. And once created, all these can be edit and change, delete. Delete is not allowable for everything. Edit and change to certain things are allowable. You have to check out one by one. Once you start practicing, you check it. Okay. And okay, this I will share. Can ultimate holding this answer is given. Okay, next what we have, can Excel sheet. Bhaskar, when I'm creating a location for LE in established enterprise structure, like in the given someone, is it country wise? It's not country-wise format, Bhaskar. It probably the instance that you are using will be the issue. There is nothing wrong that you have done. And do we follow certain templates? Yes. So Srinivas, that's what I told tomorrow. I'll show you. The structure is loaded once later. We cannot delete Srihari. We can roll back if you want that. and you can do the reconfiguration and you can re-upload the structure. But once you loaded the structure, any employees you hired in that data, in any legal entity business unit, system will not allow you. Only in the initial time of configuration only, you can able to roll back that. And when can we practice in demo instance? You can practice, yes, in real time, who is enabling the offering. We have to do that, Srinivas. We, the implementation consultants, we have to enable the offerings. And all this implementation, project creation, everything, we will only be doing. And is this configuration used in real time when organization have multiple? Is the configuration. That's what Bhaskar, as I told you. This configuration in real time, usually we are not using much. The reason behind that is we will be again coming to the individual setups for capturing more information. So ideally, if you ask me, 90% not using, 10% we will use it. Though you use it, again, we will start from the individual setups to edit them and you configure accordingly the further information. So this is up to the project that you are working. We can check with our team, with our other colleagues, other team members, and we will decide whether we will go with this approach or we will directly start our individual setups of organizations. That depends project to project that we are working. I mean to say the team and the project we are working. But as a concept, you should know how it is working. We have seen today. Establish enterprise structure. From starting enterprise to till business units and even reference data sets also, we can create and we can load. If not, directly after geography, skip this task, start your setups from here. Enterprise, we have a task. Divisions, we have a task. Locations, we have a task. Then legal entity, we have a task. Departments, business units, for everything we have the individual task team. So tomorrow I'll start with our enterprise HCM information task, the individual setup we have in the system for enterprise to configure team. So during that time, you will see what we have an issue with this task. And then while we configuring enterprise, I will also cover RDS locations concept also team. So tomorrow, mostly it will be theoretical session team and very important session. Please make your presence. I'm going to talk about RDS in the system, which is at most mandatory in core HR. Without understanding RDS, we cannot proceed with further configurations in the system team. Okay. So I'll conclude here for today. We'll join back tomorrow and we'll continue team. Thank you.